Variegated indoor plants are all the rage right now. Collectors everywhere are snapping up these beauties. Tiny variegated cuttings can sell for eye-watering prices, hundreds if not thousands of dollars. But beyond the hype of these perfectly patterned plants, variegation is one of the most fascinating and enduring aspects of what plants can do and how they grow. So let's take a walk down variegation lane and explore what variegation actually is, how you can identify it, and potentially propagate more. As a basic definition, variegation is when a plant displays 2 or more colours on its leaves. It can also be on the flowers or stems. One of my favourites is this alocasia here. I love the random blotches on its leaves. And there's many different types of variegation. Let's look at a few of them. Sometimes variegation is caused by disease. For example, there are viruses that affect camellias. One of these causes yellow splotches on the leaves. It doesn't affect the vigour or the flowering of the plant, and the variegation is quite prized by breeders. And in the 1600s, during the Dutch tulip craze, people were obsessed with variegated tulips. However, it turns out the variegated patterns on the petals was caused by a virus spread by aphids. Collectors invested a lot of money only to find out their tulips didn't last very long. Oops. So, when a disease shows up as variegation, it can either harm the plant or simply coexist with it. Another way variegation can show up in plants is due to a lack of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is that green pigment that's responsible for getting plants to photosynthesize. And plants need this as it helps them convert sunlight into usable energy to grow. And so what happens is plant genes are a bit of an inexact science. Some genes mutate, and these mutated genes can cause a lack of chlorophyll in the plants. And you'll see these mutations show up as quite striking variegations. There may be splashes or blotches of yellow, or even light green, or in pure white. So plants can be variegated all over, and they've adapted to their mutation and can grow just fine without full-strength chlorophyll. Just like this Monstera alba variegata. You can see the mutant genes at work. This cultivar is rare, and the genes can be a little bit unstable, so it can be difficult to replicate this look via tissue culture or cuttings. You may end up with all green leaves. This cultivar, on the other hand, Thai constellation, its mutant gene for variegation is a lot more stable, so it's easier to replicate this variegated look. There are heaps of cultivars that have been bred specifically to enhance variegation in leaves. The Epipremnum genus are a popular indoor plant. Check out this Epipremnum Snow Queen. Although this one stem here has gone a little bit rogue and it's sending out green leaves. This happens to a lot of variegated plants. And that's because it's trying to revert back to one of its parents or it's not getting enough sunlight. To promote the variegation in this Snow Queen, I'm removing this stem. Instead of just throwing this piece away, I'm going to pot it on and see what happens. To do that, I just look for the node, which is the bump along the stem where the leaf emerges, and I'll cut just underneath the node. I'm taking off some of the lower leaves and then potting up my 2 cuttings in some aroid mix. So whilst you can maintain the existing variegation in a plant that's variegated all over by simply removing the leaves that have reverted back to green, what if you spot a plant in your collection that seems to be spontaneously producing a variegated leaf? Something a little bit unusual, perhaps. Plants like Rhaphidophora are known for spontaneous streaks of white and light green. So check your plants. Monsteras and philodendrons are also good to look at for signs of spontaneous variegation. And syngoniums are too, like this one. Look all over the plant, the stems, the petioles. The petioles are the bits between the leaf and the main stem. This isn't a splash of yellow variegation. It's very likely to be a nutrient deficiency, so this plant could do with a little bit of fertilizer. This leaf, there's a few white speckles on the edge of the leaf, but they're not very strong, so it's unlikely to be successful if I grow it on. This leaf, however, this is our unicorn. look at the variegation on the undersides and the top of the leaf. So this one I'm going to grow on. The rest of the leaves on the stem are green, so they're pretty much dead to me. I'm going to remove them, making sure I cut above where the variegated leaf is. Now the bit that I want is my prized leaf and 2 nodes. I'm removing this lower leaf, and that's going to reveal the node where the roots are going to grow from. Now I'm only going to bury the first node. Give it a good drink, and I'll put it in a nice warm spot. Who knows how this experiment will go, but here's hoping. There are many plants that have developed permanent variegations, so they won't change once you propagate them from cuttings. Although plants can surprise us and there can be freaky mutations too. These gorgeous patterns have developed as a result of adapting to their environment over thousands of years. Who knows why? Just look at this Dieffenbachia. Its leaves look a little bit sickly and diseased, but it could be a strategy to help it from becoming something's lunch. And plants might develop more permanent forms of colouring and markings that help reflect and direct light back onto itself. Sometimes this type of natural variegation can occur due to the plant developing intricate cellular structures where air pockets are formed between cells or cell layers that reflect light. And whilst this sort of variegation is permanent, it can change depending on the environment it's growing in and how you're treating it. This angel wing begonia has been sitting outside baking in the hot sun. So while these leaves up top still have their spots, these ones down below, they've faded. These leaves, they're sun stressed. That's why they're a little bit yellow and bleached. The best thing to do is to put it in a well-lit spot out of direct sunlight. A little fertilizer and a good drink won't go astray. Variegation is a window into how plants grow and how they react to the environment. And I think something a little special to add to our collections.